Hello, good morning to everyone. Today I'll be discussing about the topic of industry readiness roadmap for the students. So here, why it is important that it is this, always we should not depend on the theoretical concept. So it is this lecture may be the practical guide that may help to bridge the gap between the what you learn in the college and what the industry actually experts from you. So what problem? The problem is like what is academic and teachers and what the industry wants. So there is a basic gap. Still, we are trying to figure it out since from the last 2 decades. But still, we are struggling to figure that why it is so much of lag it is. So the most of the students they may be very academically strong, but they score well in the exams and they understood the what is the theory, but they still struggle when they enter the industry. What does this happen, sir? Why it is happens? Because most of the colleges, may not most, very few, they most of the time we as a student they think that we should focus on textbooks, exams, and marks, but always the industry never expect that. So the industry expects only the skills, real-time project experience, communication skills, and adaptability. So that makes the basic thing. So always the real issue is not the intelligence; it's like a lack of preparations and exposures. So why, what is industry readiness? Industry readiness is not as a one skill, it is a combination of a critical pillar that together, which it will work for the employability and make an impactful from the day one. The first matters like there is a combination of four pillars like technical skills. The first one is you must know the what is the current technology and what where from the basics things and how the technology may be used in your domain. And then there should be a practical exposure if we know the technology we should have the hands-on experience on this, so that hands-on experience they may get from their project internships and the real-time experience. The third is the like a communication skill that you should be able to clearly express your ideas, and next is the fourth is the problem solving. This is not about logical or handling the real-time challenges. It is developed all the full for like we always become the industry. So when industry readiness, so when we think we have to be get ready place get the placement, that is not an easy with only keeping stuck with the textbook. So always we have to read the technology and we have to implement in the real life, so that we can do some problems or solve the real time problem solving. And then most probably we should have the proper communication skills. And next is how can you develop your roadmap? Like first, from first year we start with the foundation. First 2 years will be the core, so that makes it easier that we I have made some structured thing. So the foundation stages, what build the basics? Like we have when we know the basic concepts of everything, then only we can able to find the get implemented. And then next, when your first and second year, they may be of the foundation stage and the skill building stage. So we should be having the basic building the basic knowledge and applying all the basic knowledge skills. Then when you enter from second and third year, we should be having the hands-on experience, like we can go for the real world challenges like building the projects and then taking up the placements internship. So where the third year will be more focused on industry internships and projects. So industry exposure stages when we enter in the real world environment. And then professional readiness is like when you prepare for the placement. So each stages is builds on previous one. So the biggest mistake what the students understand is that they will be starting at too late. They leave the first and second year, and if they start early their the growth will be very exponential, but they usually they don't. So what is the foundation stage? In foundation they'll be having the very basic core subjects to be the strong building communication, strong foundation, the master core like subjects like mathematics and basic maths, physics, and all the of the fundamental branches. And we are learning the very basic programming language, like for example, like Python and C and any other language which is related to your domain. And always you start learning from the basics of your respective field. And then most importantly, like we should have the consistency, like developing the discipline. So because of the consistency in early years, we will definitely will have the expertise in the later stages. So always we should focus on the core subjects, and they should be have the consistency of studying and implementing it. Then only we can get the real time approaches. Next is a skill building stage. In skill building stage, like second and third year, what we do is we have to get the skill building of particularly specific domain space course. So I have listed a few courses which is related to all the domains like CAD, MATLAB, React, AWS, etc. So always when you study the specific domain courses tools, we can able to implement the many projects like small projects what you learn to apply. Then we have to have the practice hands-on practices. Also use the platform like GitHub, Kaggle and Coursera to enhance your skills. Next stage is an industry exposure stage where we go for the internships. And not only the internships, we used to solve the real-time problems like a hackathons we can participate in. That is one of the most major part currently, which is scenario like most of the placements come from the hackathon. So if we have the practice of participating from the first year itself, then it is really very helpful for solving the real-time projects, and then they'll have the enhancement of the critical thinking. And when we work on the real-time projects, either through open source or the industry collaboration, this stage is where you are transformed for the students and the professionalism. And next is in final year we have to be have the readiness for the stages of getting the placement. That is, placement is not depends like okay we have got all those skills we'll get, not like that. So our resume speaks a lot. So always keep your resume to be the very strong, crisp, and optimized to your LinkedIn profile. And try to make to attend do the mock interviews and practice your technical skills, and always build your portfolio like showcasing your projects like for example on the GitHub or the your personal website. And at this stage, your preparation will should reflect your journey. Like whatever you prefer so far should be reflect from the each stages. Marks versus skill. Why it is really matters. Like okay, most of the them think that okay, high CGPA and theory focused exam will write exam limited practical value and short term. Why it is like many students think that marks is everything, but the reality is not. The marks may open the door, but the skill help us to stay in the stays inside it. So the companies towards focus on the projects and morely on portfolios and problem solving ability. So even the students with an average CGP also get the opportunity if they have the strong personal experience. So always we should have the focus on skills, not much on the marks. So what the students is do the common mistake usually like the first they're learning without application. They doesn't know. They learn only the concept. They don't know how to apply the concept on the particular specifications. Like watching tutorials. Like if we keep on watching the tutorials, then only we'll get the knowledge, but we don't know where to implement that knowledge. And next is letter mistakes. What they do is they do the work, but they don't project it. So branding is very much important. Like self branding is the thing. So when we know how to sell ourselves in the market, then we are in the right place to get the placement in. So the second is like no project in the portfolio. The third is like we know project, but still we have the lack of communication skills. But for and then in last thing is mistake is they are starting too late. Like some students they may think that will start in the final year, but that is not the real case. You should start your readiness from the starting. So if you try to avoid all those mistakes, then it may be helpful for a strong advantages over the others, and you will be the one among the others to be get the placement. So thanks for watching. In next lecture, we'll see the continuous of the series. Thank you.